not under contract. Chicago Bears is a no-brainer. If I'm the Bears, I'm like, yeah, we can't get Deshaun Watson, Russell Wilson, absolutely. And then the Saints, if I'm Sean Payton, yes, absolutely. I say, hey, Taysom Hill, you're going to still be our five-tool player. Jameis, we'll sign you as a backup. And Drew, good luck in TV, and let's bring in Russell Wilson. I mean, I'd be on the phone. Let's see. Let's push it. Let's see what we have here. Because is Seattle going to change? Are they going to let Russell Wilson have input now? How much input does he have? The day and age of quarterback empowerment is upon us. But also the teams having patience and the player having patience. That's over, or at least redefined. I mean, Miami might not even be patient with Tua, right? Go back to Josh Rosen with Arizona. Josh, you're our quarterback for now. Oh, we got the number 1 pick. Thanks, Josh. We're done with you after a year. These teams move on. It's so quick. You got 2 years, maybe 3 at the most, and then you go, or should know what you have in that position. And if I'm Seattle, Russ is going to be 33. Absolutely. Absolutely, I'm in the market for what kind of offer do you have? If I'm the Raiders, I'm certainly interested in Russ. If I'm the Cowboys, I'm interested. Gives you leverage with Dak Prescott. Saints, absolutely. The Bears, no-brainer. But the fact that Russ's agent had 4 teams that he told Adam Schefter, there's been some conversations, let's put it that way, probably since the season was going on about this. And I'm sure Russ says to his agent, hey, I'm trying to have some input here. They won't let me have any input. And then you start to think, do I want to stay here? I'm going to get sacked an average of, 48 times a season? Dallas's offensive line is nowhere near what it was a couple of years ago, but it's better than Seattle's. But if you're some of these other teams, like if you're the Rams or the Colts, and then you're going to go, oh, God, if we just waited. If we just waited a little bit there. All righty. McLevin, you got a poll question. We'll take a break. We'll talk to you in Rappaport about, just how hot this topic is with Russell Wilson.
Yeah, we already put it up on the website.
Okay.
Where will Russell Wilson play next year? We list the Seahawks and the 4 teams, the Raiders, the Bears, the Saints, and the Cowboys. But let me ask you the flip side. Well, who are the Seahawks going to start a quarterback if they trade Russell Wilson?
Well, if I trade him to the Raiders, I get Derek Carr.
So, okay, Carr that's the one where you could do a trade for.
This is a team that I was told 2 days ago they seriously were considering Josh Allen. When in the draft, they had a private workout with him. They were enamored with Josh Allen. It's not far-fetched to think that Seattle has been preparing for this moment as well, or at least factoring this in. And is the Russell Wilson that we're seeing now, how much different is he than the Russell Wilson we saw 3 years ago, 5 years ago, 7 years ago? And this is when you have his best market value. Yes, Eden.
It's almost like the whole let Russ cook thing should have been a red flag in a weird way, because if he'd been there for that long and been that successful and they still won't let the dude play, it kind of says, now looking back, it says a lot more about how the Seahawks really felt about him.
First half of the season, he was the MVP.
Yeah.
And this is a team, like they won their division. Like it's crazy. This program brought to you by Built Bar. You want to stay in shape? The easy way to do it, you get a great protein bar. 16 grams of protein, low calories, low carb, but it tastes great. Go to BuiltBar.com, enter the promo code DP20, 20% off your first order. Phone calls are always welcome. 877-3DP Show. Email address dp@danpatrick.com. Twitter handle at DP Show. Ian Rappaport of the NFL Network will answer the question, Russell Wilson will be the quarterback of the Seahawks, Raiders, Cowboys, Bears, Saints next season. We're back after this in the Dan Patrick Show. I mentioned Built Bar, and I can expound upon it a little bit more because there's so many great flavors. Is it 16 flavors or 18 flavors? I get lost in how many flavors they have. Todd would know. There's mint brownie. There's cookies and cream. This is coconut, salted caramel.
Carrot cake.
Carrot.
How great is that?
I didn't even know carrot cake.
That's because I may have took them.
Wait, did you announce it like you do Walmart? You carrot cake.
But that's why you didn't know it existed, because I grabbed all of them. So how could you possibly know that carrot cake's one of the
Is there a carrot cake?
There certainly is. There's like an apple pie one. It's just insane.
There is, or there was?
There was.
Wow. All right.
But it's still on the market. It's just not here in the studio anymore.
You can get all the delicious flavors at BuiltBar.com. Promo code DP20, get 20% off your first order. You're not going to believe how good they taste. Check them out, BuiltBar.com. But if you get them, put them under lock and key because they won't last long. BuiltBar.com, enter the promo code DP20. Thanks for listening to the Dan Patrick Show podcast. Be sure to catch us live every weekday morning, 9 until noon Eastern, 6 to 9 Pacific on Fox Sports Radio. And you can find us on the iHeartRadio app at FSR or stream us live on the Peacock app.
Hey, what's up, everybody? It's me, three-time Pro Bowler LeVar Arrington, and I couldn't be more excited to announce a new podcast called Up On Game. What is Up On Game, you ask? Along with my fellow Pro Bowler, TJ Hushmanzada, and Super Bowl champion, yep, that's right, Plexico Burris. You can only name a show with that type of talent on it. Up On Game. We're going to be sharing our real-life experiences loaded with teachable moments. Listen to Up On Game with me, LeVar Arrington, TJ Hushmanzada, and Plexico Burris on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts from.
If you're an audiophile who knows the difference between bit rate and bit depth, you know Obsession. If you call yourself an aficionado, you probably know more about art than some artists do. And in the same way a metalhead knows every guitar solo to a classic power ballad, at Lexus, they're absolutely consumed with tuning every inch of a pure sport sedan. What is this fanatical behavior, you ask? It's called going all in. And the more all in you go, the better it gets. Which is why they went as far as building an entirely new test track for a new level of handling and responsiveness, and why they designed it with curves as sharp as the corners it can maneuver around. This is the result of Lexus's obsession, the new Lexus IS, all in on the sports sedan, proving once again, the greater the obsession, the greater the reward. Learn more at lexus.com/IS.
To show you how easy it is to file a claim with Geico, we hired a soap opera star.
Gracious me, my car has storm damage and I've had to file a claim. Could it possibly get worse? Will my claims team leave me for someone else? Someone less intense?
No. Actually, when you file a claim with Geico, you get your own dedicated claims team who promises to stay with you throughout the process.
Oh, I've never known such loyalty. I can't wait for the second season.
Geico. Great service without all the drama.
Make sure you sign up for the Dan Patrick Show newsletter, available daily, 6 Eastern, 3 Pacific. Sign up, danpatrick.com. Enter your email address in the box that slides out, bottom right corner. Got something really special for you. If you've already signed up, this will be available to you coming up at 6 Eastern today. It's an interview I did with Maris Valanis, otherwise known as Jimmy Chitwood, the star of Hoosiers. I think you enjoy it, and if you subscribe to the newsletter, it'll be available later on today, and if you don't get to it today, you have this weekend, and it's a whole lot of fun. Yes, Paulie?
It's a really great interview. If you're a Hoosiers junkie, like you guys talk about the scene with Gene Hackman shooting the ball, I could nerd out over that for hours.
And he'd never acted before, so he's acting, and he's asking Gene Hackman for advice on acting. And you got Dennis Hopper. Yeah. And Dennis Hopper was telling all these stories about, doing acid in the 60s. And so he'd invite these guys in, sit in the, their mobile home or whatever it's called. And they would go in there and just tell stories. But Maris Valanis, Jimmy Chitwood, And he tells you how many times they filmed that last shot. And, iconic movie. But that'll be available on danpatrick.com a little bit later on today. You can follow Ian Rappaport, the NFL Network insider, Ian Rappaport on Twitter at RapSheet. And Ian, kind enough to join us this morning. Good morning, Ian. Let me start with our poll question. Russell Wilson will be the quarterback of the Seahawks, Raiders, Cowboys, Bears, Saints at the start of next season.
I would say probably the Seahawks. I mean, it's not impossible. I think one thing we've learned in the NFL this year is that quarterback trades, massive quarterback trades, the kind that we used to scoff at years ago, they can happen. I mean, it's slowly becoming a little more like the NBA, where people aren't afraid to take on dead money. They're not afraid to make a splash or not afraid to take a risk. I mean, these things have now happened. So at least this conversation that we're having now is not fake. Whereas like 4 years ago, I would have been like, come on, Dan. But my guess is the Seahawks for a couple of reasons. One, $40 million cap hit for a team that is contending every single year is a lot. And then let's just play it out. Let's say it's the Raiders and Derek Carr's in the trade. So then it's $40 million for Russell Wilson in a dead cap hit, $25 million for Derek Carr. That's $65 million allocated to the quarterback position. That's a lot. The other thing is Pete Carroll is 70 years old.
Yeah.
He does not want to rebuild. So if you're trading Russell Wilson, and you told me you wanted to start the dynasty again and rebuild, I'd say, cool. That actually would make some sense. Pete Carroll doesn't want to do that. A trade doesn't make sense for any party.
How did we get to this point with Seattle?
Well, I think it was slowly building probably from like week 8 or 9 when Seattle's offense went from letting Russ cook to whatever it was we saw at the end of the year. He started turning it over. They kind of started focusing on running the ball to stop him from turning it over and go back to the brand of football that had made Seattle famous. And I don't think Russell Wilson liked that. He wanted to cook. He wanted to get the MVP votes. He wanted to be the kind of superstar quarterback that he is and that we see other quarterbacks. Like Aaron Rodgers, the Packers run the ball with Aaron Rodgers, but Rodgers is the star. The running game is not the star, right? And that was a philosophical difference in the fact that they had to play the season out and it didn't kind of get resolved during the season, only led to this little, kind of mini war of words or whatever you'd call it. Now, he was involved in the picking of the offensive coordinator. That was good. But they still got a lot of work to do to kind of get everyone on the same page here.
But when he came on the show a couple of weeks ago, you've been around Russ. He doesn't open the door and really answer things honestly. And, everything is go Hawks, and he wants to tell you all the things that he thinks you want to hear. He opened the door for me. I don't know if it was off of going to the Super Bowl. He looked miserable. He's watching Mahomes and Brady and going, why am I not playing in another Super Bowl? But do you think that it was orchestrated on his part to allow me to ask those questions?
I wondered about that. It was an eye-opening interview. I will say that. Like when I think I first saw the clips on Twitter and I'm like, what is happening here? Yeah. I had to go and kind of click, which, obviously for you, like you're doing an interview and someone has to go from Twitter to be like, all right, where can I find this? That's a great interview. I thought the whole thing was eye-opening. I started to get a sense before the Super Bowl that something was happening. Like I got wind of teams calling the Seahawks about Russell, and I reported it on our pregame show before the Super Bowl. And usually you report something like that and you get a lot of pushback. Don't say anything. Don't stir it up. We don't need that out there. I didn't quite get that. It was more like, well, it's true, so you happen to find out about it. Like, okay. And that was interesting to me. And then he kind of goes on this media tour for Man of the Year, goes on your show and a couple others, and he doesn't shy away from the fact that he's frustrated. He doesn't like to get hit, which I don't either. I get it. I think it's time where he's like, you know what? I'm taking ownership of myself, my career, my team. I want this to get better. And in a way, I don't blame him, but it just makes it a little messy when that happens.
But if you're Seattle, do you reach out to the Bears, the Cowboys, the Saints, the Raiders? The door's open.
Yeah, the door is open. But, I mean, the reality is you have Russell Wilson. If you want to trade him, you could trade him in like 2 seconds, right? Like everybody would want Russell Wilson. That's not the problem. Trading him is easy. You could get 3 ones, 2 1s and a great player and another good player, like you could get a great